You know what's fascinating about trust, Andrew? Studies show it takes just zero point 0.3 seconds for a child to decide whether to jump into their parents' arms at a pool, the same split-second decision that can shape entire civilizations.
Pappy, that's such an interesting take on what we're discussing today about the Israelites standing at the edge of the promised land. It was their ultimate trust fall.
Well, exactly. And what makes this story so compelling is the sheer scale of transformation these people underwent. I mean, we're talking about a group that spent 400 years in Egypt, going from Joseph's privileged family to enslaved people, and now they're about to become landowners.
Hmm. And that transition must have been terrifying. Like jumping into the deep end of the pool, but the pool is an entirely new country.
You know what's particularly moving? The text uses this fascinating literary device where it completely omits the Pharaoh's name. In a culture where pharaohs were considered divine, that's saying this so called God isn't even worth mentioning.
That's precisely what makes this passage so powerful, Pappy. It's not just telling a story, it's making a bold statement about power and authority.
Right? And speaking of authority, this is the first time in Scripture we see the phrase man of God used referring to Moses. It's like this watershed moment in defining spiritual leadership.
Well, how do you think that title evolved? Because we see it used later for figures like Samuel and Elijah, too.
That's such a crucial question. It became this benchmark for authentic spiritual leadership, not just someone with a position of power, but someone with this vibrant personal relationship with God. And what's fascinating is how the text demonstrates this by suddenly shifting from talking about God to talking to God.
Oh, wow, Pappy. Like that moment when the pronouns change and it becomes more intimate.
Exactly. It's like watching someone switch from giving a lecture about swimming to actually jumping in the pool. And this happens right when describing the people gathering at God's feet to receive his words. It's this beautiful picture of both submission and closeness.
You know what's interesting about the imagery used here? The way it describes God as being simultaneously above, below, and before his people.
It's like this divine 360-degree protection system. And then there's this incredible promise of abundance, grain, wine, dew from heaven. Imagine trying to explain that to people who'd eaten nothing but manna for 40 years.
That must have seemed like describing smartphones to someone from the Middle Ages.
Well, that's what makes the ending so powerful, this complete transformation of identity. They go from being the oppressed to the victorious, from homeless to having a homeland. The text says their enemies will cringe before them.
So, in essence, it's really about this fundamental shift in how they see themselves and their relationship with God.
Exactly. And here's what's relevant for today, whether we're facing major life transitions or just daily uncertainties, we're all confronted with this same fundamental question of trust. Like that child at the pool, we're constantly making these split-second decisions about whether to leap.
And I suppose the key is looking at the track record, right? Just like that, the parent has proven themselves trustworthy.
That's right. And what's particularly meaningful about this ancient text is how it shows that proper security isn't about circumstances or personal strength. It's about knowing you're held in those everlasting arms, as the passage puts it. Recent psychological studies have shown that this kind of deep seated security changes how people handle stress and make decisions.
Well, Pappy, that brings us full circle to our opening point about trust and transformation.
And perhaps, Andrew, That's the most profound insight we can take away, that sometimes the most significant leaps in life require us to trust not in what we can see, but in what we've experienced to be true, just like those Israelites standing at the edge of their promised land, or that child at the edge of the pool. Sometimes you have to jump